In the digital age, we turn to social media to express ourselves about issues that we feel strongly about. Conservation is no exception. It's virtually impossible to not know what's going on. But social media has a dark side too, the power to bring out the worst in us. Before the internet, when people wanted to express their opinions, outrage, or push for change, one of the few options available was to take to the streets. Today, we can connect and communicate like never before. From virtually anywhere in the world, you can help save sharks, adopt an orangutan, or share your outrage at Africa's poaching crisis. Dr. Bram Buscher from the University of Rotterdam in the Netherlands is researching a paper on social media and conservation.
Doing research in Southern Africa on all kinds of wildlife and conservation issues, back to the Netherlands, looking at what was happening online, people thinking, oh, we can just save elephants, we can save the rhino, we can save this. And I was thinking, oh my God, but it's so much more complex on the ground. There's so much politics involved. And to think that you can simply, by clicking on a mouse, be involved in, let alone influence conservation, to me was so intriguing that I wanted to know more about this.
So, can people make a difference in conservation via social media? David Schiffman, a shark scientist in Miami, Florida, makes extensive use of social media and believes so.
Social media is a really, really powerful tool for getting the message of science, the message of conservation, out to the public on a huge scale. When I say something on Twitter or Facebook or my blog, tens of thousands of people all over the world can see that. Whereas previously, if a scientist had a message, they would have to put out a press release and hope that a journalist would cover it and hope that in the interview nothing got lost in translation.
Social media can provide access to a wealth of information, help with fundraising efforts, and create unprecedented awareness of issues, which is what OSCAP, an anti-poaching social media site, aims to do.
Social media is a very, very powerful tool. The more information you're getting out there to different communities, obviously the more powerful it is. Look at the Arab uprising. I mean, that was orchestrated via Facebook. It's given a platform to people from all over the world to express their outrage, also to get like-minded people together to do things, even protests.
It's the way in which outrage is expressed online that has the most potential to cause damage. When people take to airing their views on the internet, they appear to lose the ability to censor themselves, especially when emotions are running high, like with reactions to the rhino poaching crisis.
For me, the most poignant of all of these are the violent kind of responses. The kind of discourses that you see about particularly celebrating the death of poachers is just phenomenal. People cheer when somebody says that poachers have been killed. And not just cheer. That would maybe be one thing, but they actually take it one step further and say that all of them should die. That they're not worthy of the oxygen that they breathe or the skin that they inhabit. And that, for me, is quite disturbing, I must say.
Also disturbing is the case of American TV presenter and hunter Melissa Bachman, who posted this picture of herself on Facebook after trophy hunting a captive-bred lion in South Africa. The reaction was vicious, and she was attacked on an unprecedented scale on social media. Then there's Corey Knowlton of the Dallas Safari Club, who won an auction to hunt an endangered black rhino in Namibia. Social media comments went viral, and the ensuing fallout made international news.
They're threatening my children, Piers. They're threatened to kill me. The FBI is alerted. The Las Vegas SWAT team is on alert. I have security going everywhere I go. That's the hate that I'm dealing with. Piers, to be honest, 100%, I had no idea that it would be this visceral. I had no idea that they would be attacking my 2-year-old daughter and my 7-year-old daughter and my beautiful young wife, and they'd want to kill us all and burn us and make a Saw movie out of us, Piers.
Whether you agree with Ms. Bachman or Mr. Knowlton's actions, or are deeply outraged at the poaching crisis, is not the point. The question is it acceptable to openly express the desire to kill, maim, or torture another person on social media, no matter how wrong you consider their actions to be. It's also clear that the people who express these extreme emotions on social media often aren't looking at the full picture. Calling for poachers to be killed shows a gross lack of understanding of the real issues on the ground.
I mean, last week I was in the Lowveld and I was actually going out there with an anti-poaching organization. And they are themselves quite frustrated that, they're putting themselves in danger, but they can't just go and shoot. There are all kinds of legal requirements. They can't shoot people in the back, they have to collect evidence. And if they don't have all of that right, it can cost them hundreds of thousands of rands in court to prove that this was a, certain action that was justified in the field. And if they can't prove that, they will go to jail for 20 years. So it's very complex.
The poaching crisis is a complicated, twisted chain of social issues. There's poverty, an enormous international network of organized crime, and a burgeoning market in Asia for ivory and rhino horn. Simply killing poachers will by no means solve this complex issue. Just like threatening to kill and torture sport hunters will not save lions or rhinos, or even stop the practice.
I generally find that the loudest voices understand things the least. There's an undercurrent in elements of the conservation world today that it's okay if you don't understand something as long as you're really passionate about it. And that's really damaging to a lot of things.
Well, the problem with social media and conservation to a great degree is that you simply cannot convey the complexity of what is going on in a 140-character tweet.
In OSCAP, what I find is, people will come in and they are very highly emotional. They will have seen a picture of a poached rhino, and they will start being xenophobic about the Vietnamese or the Chinese or the Mozambicans or whatever. And you have to try and explain to them that it's just like in South Africa. We have a very high rape rate, but it doesn't mean that every man in South Africa is a rapist. So you cannot take a whole nation and tar them with the same brush.
There's also the issue of hiding behind the illusion of internet anonymity. Disguising identity seems to give some social media users a license to abuse.
We do live in a democracy where you do have the right to view your opinion, but you also have to, for everything that you say, there's a consequence. You have to be responsible about what you're saying.
My positive experiences greatly outweigh the negatives. But the negative experiences are significantly more negative than a lot of people who don't deal with social media have ever experienced. There are some extremists on the internet, and we're not sure if the internet made people more extreme, if maybe it's easier to say horrible things to someone when you're not face-to-face with them, or if maybe these people were always out there, but just they were living in their basements.
The magnitude of the internet is both its blessing and its curse. It has a profound reach and the ability to do so much good. But taking issues out of context and reacting to them without knowing the full story is dangerous. Violent rantings over social media are not going to save animals, and they do more harm than good. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, "An eye for an eye will only make the whole world blind." And considering the state of the world, that is the last thing we and the animals need.